I sit at the far edge of my parents' polished oak dining table, gently pressing the wrinkles from my plain black dress. It had cost more than I could reasonably afford, but tonight I needed that illusion of composure, a kind of quiet armor. Around me, crystal glasses shimmer beneath the chandelier's glow as my father pours deep red wine that probably equals a week's worth of my grocery budget. Dad lifts his glass high, his face alight with pride. "To Sam's remarkable victory," he declares, his eyes fixed on my sister. At just 28, Ava has become the youngest attorney in her firm's history to win such a high-profile case. My mother's hand slides across the table to squeeze hers warmly. "We always knew greatness was your destiny," she says. Sam blushes with modesty, her carefully highlighted hair catching the light as she lowers her gaze just enough to appear humble. "It was really just preparation and a bit of instinct," Sam murmurs. "Nonsense," Mom cuts in. "It's your natural talent. Don't minimize it, dear." I take a small sip of water, drawing courage into my chest. I read the article about the case. I begin carefully. They mentioned how well you connected with the jury. That kind of emotional intelligence is incredibly valuable in... Dad interrupts before I can finish. "Ava, tell them what the judge said afterward," he says, without so much as glancing my way. My words dissolve midair, like mist burning off at sunrise. It's an old ritual by now. Sam commands the spotlight, and I fade into the wallpaper. I focus on my breathing, on the cool metal of the fork in my hand. Anything to stay grounded as conversation flows around me. "Leah, pass the potatoes," Mom says suddenly, the first time she's addressed me directly in nearly 20 minutes. I comply, then make another cautious attempt. My department just rolled out a new compliance system I helped design. "Did you hear?" Mom cuts in brightly. "Sam's firm is already considering her for junior partner. Can you imagine? At 32. The fork nearly slips from my grasp. I'm 29, just 3 years younger than my perfect sister. Yet in their eyes, the gap might as well be decades. Then Mom turns toward me with that look, the one that always precedes her helpful life advice. "You know, Leah, if you'd finished that MBA instead of stopping at your bachelor's, you'd be further along by now." The words sting. That MBA, the one I put off when they called me sobbing about the foreclosure notice. The degree that still lives in a dusty, someday folder while my savings drain away month after month. "I'm doing fine," I say softly, steadying my tone. "Fine isn't exceptional, though, is it?" Mom sighs, exchanging a loaded glance with Dad. She places her fork down precisely, her expression sharp enough to cut glass. "Honestly, Leah, you're not even half the woman your sister is." The air in the room stills. Even the antique clock on the mantel seems to pause its ticking. My fingers tremble around my water glass, tiny ripples forming on the surface. I can hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Her words strike me like a physical blow, knocking the breath from my lungs. Then, as if in mockery, the clock resumes, tick, 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 and something in me finally shifts, a breaking point carved by 4 long years of silence, sacrifice, and invisibility. I set the glass down and look straight at them. "Then let her pay the mortgage for this house," I say quietly. Dad's fork clatters against his plate. "Mortgage? What mortgage?" he blurts out. Sam freezes mid-motion, her champagne glass hovering near her lips. Her expression flickers from confusion to alarm. Mom's complexion drains to ash. "Leah," she stammers, "this isn't dinner talk. Who wants dessert? I baked your favorite apple pie." No, my own voice sounds foreign, steady, unflinching. I reach into my purse and pull out my phone, my fingers trembling as I unlock my banking app. Dad shifts in his seat. "What are you talking about?" "We refinanced years ago," he says, but his confidence falters. I scroll through my transaction history until I find the first payment. "February 15th, 2021, I say, turning the screen toward them. $500. to prevent foreclosure. You said it would be just this once. Mom stands abruptly. This is ridiculous. I'm getting dessert. I keep scrolling. March, April, May. Every month after that. Between $1,200 and $2,400, depending on the crisis of the moment. Dad's face hardens. We've had some temporary setbacks with the business. You know that. Temporary. I echo, my voice rising. For years isn't temporary. I turn toward Sam, whose expression has shifted from pride to dawning horror. Did you know? While you were buying your condo and celebrating promotions, did you know I was the one keeping our parents' house from being taken away? Sam shakes her head slowly. They told me they were helping you, that you were struggling. A short, bitter laugh escapes me. Is that what they said? Mom's eyes glisten with tears as she returns empty-handed. A daughter supports her family, she says shakily. That's how we raised you. Family comes first, always. Family comes first. I repeat, the words tasting hollow. But I'm not really family, am I? I'm your emergency fund. Your safety net. The account you never thank. The realization hits me with quiet finality. Every year I tried to shrink myself to fit their mold, to earn the approval they reserve for Sam, all while financing the stability that made her success possible. Sam lowers her glass gently. How much, Leah? She asks. In total. I meet her eyes. $84,000. Dad sputters into his wine. That's absurd. But his protest wavers, his guilt exposed. He knows the truth. That was my down payment, I say evenly. My home, my MBA, my future. Silence returns to the table, heavier than before. Not with judgment this time, but with the weight of truth long denied. And beneath the anger and humiliation, something unexpected stirs inside me. Freedom. That night, back in my apartment, memories flash like lightning through the dark. The phone had rung at 11:37 on a Tuesday. I almost ignored it, half asleep under my cheap IKEA comforter in my small, rented one-bedroom. But some mix of dread and intuition made me answer. Leah. Mom's voice cracked with tears. I didn't know who else to call. I sat up instantly. What's wrong? Is someone hurt? It's the house, she sobbed. We're going to lose the house. We're going to lose it. The next minutes blurred into panic, her voice broken between gasps as she explained about missed payments, Dad's struggling architectural firm, and the foreclosure notice that had arrived that morning. Words like 30 days and auction sliced through her sobs. How much? I asked, already opening my laptop, the cold glow of the screen illuminating the small room. My savings glared back at me. 3 years of skipped vacations, of brown bag lunches, of every overtime shift I could take. $2,500, she whispered, just to stop the foreclosure process. Your father swears the Brewster contract will come through next month. She hesitates before speaking again, her voice breaking slightly. Honey, I wouldn't ask if there were any other option. We have nowhere else to turn. My hand lingers over the transfer button. The colonial-style house on Maple Street has been their home for 3 decades, the same place where my childhood was built. My old bedroom still has the window seat where I used to read until midnight. The oak tree outside, the one I fell from when I was 8, left a faint scar on my arm and a permanent story in family lore. The dining room where we shared Sunday pot roasts, laughter, and the illusion that everything was fine, all of it flashes in my mind. Just this once, Mom promises softly. Your father is mortified that I even called. We'll repay you as soon as his commission clears. My finger clicks the mouse. $2,500 slide out of my account, the numbers dropping on the screen like an elevator in free fall. Thank you, sweetheart. Mom exhales, her relief washing away every trace of tears. We raised such a good girl. Dad takes the phone briefly. Won't happen again, Leah Bear. Just a tough month, he says, his tone upbeat, but too familiar. That forced optimism I remember from childhood. Disappointed birthdays. Trips to the zoo that never happened. Christmas bikes that never came. After we hang up, I stare at the screen, my remaining balance glaring back at me. The emptiness in my stomach has nothing to do with hunger. Just this once. 3 weeks later, my phone rings again. The bank made a mistake with the payment processing. Mom says, her voice different this time. Less desperate, more expectant. It's just $1,200 this time. I send the transfer. A month passes. Your father's client is late paying, but the business will bounce back soon, she assures me. Another transfer. By the 6th month, I stop waiting for new explanations. I stop expecting repayment. I create an automatic transfer, $1,500 every month, directly to their mortgage company. It's easier that way. No more tearful calls. No more gratitude that fades within hours. One afternoon at work, my email pings. Denver, downtown condo development. Pre-sale opportunity. I open it during my lunch break, scrolling through photos of the perfect starter home. Walking distance from my office, affordable, available with only 10% down. My heart pounds as I check my savings account. After 6 months of payments, my balance is back to where it was 3 years ago. The condo sells out in 48 hours. That night, I defer my MBA acceptance for the 2nd time. On the form, I write 2 words that feel heavier than any debt. Financial circumstances. The university replies that they'll hold my spot for 1 more year. After that, I'll need to reapply. I open a new spreadsheet. Columns for dates, amounts, and running totals. A separate tab titled Opportunities Lost. I type the names one by one. Condo, education, trip to Spain for my college roommate's wedding. Each cell becomes a quiet grave for something I gave up. Months turn into a year into 2. During lunch breaks, I microwave ramen noodles in the office kitchen. My phone buzzes, an Instagram notification. Mom at Marcello's, the expensive Italian restaurant downtown. Caption: Anniversary dinner. Blessed. A week later, another photo. Dad posing with new golf clubs in their dining room. Tied up on cash this month. I text my friends when they invite me on a short camping trip, my 3rd excuse this summer. Eventually, they stop asking. Then, an email arrives. Credit card application denied. The reason: insufficient credit history and income-to-debt ratio. That same day, Sam posts a picture. Her smiling beside a real estate agent, captioned homeowner at last. #adulting. Family comments flood in. Your sister always had such a good head on her shoulders. At Easter dinner, Mom repeats that same line to me as I sit quietly, mentally calculating how many more months it'll take to rebuild my MBA fund. Financial independence is a sign of maturity, she says proudly. I nod, swallowing both irony and mashed potatoes. At the office holiday party, Natalie from accounting drops into the seat beside me. You okay? You've been brown bagging it for months, she says gently, her eyes soft behind tortoiseshell glasses. Just saving, I reply, the lie rolling out automatically. She studies me over her cheap Chardonnay. For what exactly? Because you never actually buy anything. Her question pierces deeper than I expect. That night, over what begins as coffee and turns into dinner, the truth spills out. 4 years, $84,000, a lifetime of guilt, and the constant draining of my future. Natalie listens in silence, then sets down her mug with a quiet thud. Leah, she says, you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. They're my parents, I whisper, but even I don't sound convinced. And you're their daughter, she replies firmly, not their bank. She grabs a napkin and pen. Let's do some math. Together, we calculate the hidden costs. Not just the money, but the lost compound interest, the delayed promotions, the missed retirement contributions. When I see the final number, my hands shake. They'd never understand, I say weakly. Maybe not, Natalie replies. But do you understand what you're giving up? That night, I lie in bed staring at the soft glow of my phone screen. My thumb hovers over the automatic transfer button. For years, $84,000. My finger trembles, not pressing cancel yet, but for the first time, I imagine what it would feel like to stop. Just this once, I think. I could skip 1 month. See if they even notice. See if they care. I close my eyes and touch the cool glass of my screen. When I open them, the confirmation appears. 1 more month. 1 more flame for my own fire. But this time, something has changed. In the faint reflection of the darkened screen, I catch a look I barely recognize: determination. Sleep never comes that night. By dawn, pale sunlight slices through my blinds as the bank app still glows on my phone. It's 5:48 on Monday morning. My thumb hovers again over the cancel automatic transfer button. For 4 years, I've sent between $1,200 and $2,400 each month to my parents. Money that could have built my life. $84,000. Enough for a Denver condo when prices were still sane. Enough for the MBA I kept postponing. Enough for a retirement fund that never began. All sacrificed for a house that isn't mine, for people who last night said I wasn't even half the woman my sister is. My finger trembles, then presses. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring transfer? Am I sure? I hit confirm. My stomach lurches, as if I've leapt from a diving board into the unknown. Not water below, but freedom. The sensation is so foreign that I almost reach for the trash can beside my bed. But beneath the nausea, relief unfurls, vast and consuming. For the first time in 4 years, my next paycheck will be entirely mine. The first call comes before I even finish my morning coffee. My father's name flashes across the screen, and for a moment my finger hovers above the answer button. Then I let it ring out. His voicemail follows almost immediately, his tone sharp, rough, and cold. Leah, what you did last night was inexcusable. We've supported you your entire life, and this is how you repay us? By turning your back on your family when we need you most? Call me back. Immediately. I don't. I delete the message and block his number. By noon, there are 4 messages from Mom, each one more tearful than the last. By 3 in the afternoon, I block her too. A new notification appears, a text from Sam. They say you're punishing them. What's happening? They won't stop calling me. I type back carefully, ask them about the mortgage payments I've been making for 4 years. 3 dots appear, disappear, reappear. Finally, her reply arrives. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. At 6:14 that evening, the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see my mother standing there, clutching a photo album to her chest. I rest my forehead against the door, silently pleading for her to leave. Leah, sweetheart, she calls softly through the wood. I know you're in there. I brought pictures from when you were little. Remember your first ballet recital? You fell, and your father carried you off the stage. We've always been there for you. What I remember, though, is working 3 jobs during college while Sam's tuition was fully paid. What I remember is deferring graduate school so I could cover a temporary setback that somehow lasted for years. I stay quiet. The door stays shut. By morning, the family campaign has begun. My aunt in Phoenix calls to express concern for my poor parents. My uncle from Michigan sends an email about family responsibility. Cousins I haven't spoken to in years suddenly feel compelled to check in. Natalie shakes her head when I tell her over coffee at the shop near our office. They're good, she says wryly. They've got the flying monkeys out. Flying monkeys? From the Wizard of Oz, she explains, stirring her latte. When the witch can't get what she wants directly, she sends others to do her bidding. Classic manipulation tactic. I laugh weakly, realizing that for the first time, someone truly sees what's happening. I made an appointment with a financial advisor, I tell her. Tomorrow morning. Her expression softens. She reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. I'm proud of you. The next day, I sit across from a woman named Clara in an office that smells faintly of leather and lemon polish. She reviews my statements in silence before adjusting her glasses. $84,000 over 4 years, she says slowly. And your parents never told your sister, nor acknowledged it? No. And you had no legal obligation to make these payments. None. She leans forward, her tone firm but kind. Then what you've experienced, Leah, is financial exploitation. Family exploitation is still exploitation. The word lands like a jolt of electricity. Exploitation. Not help. Not support. Exploitation. Let's create a plan, she says. One that puts your future first. When she shows me the 5-year projection, the potential savings, the investments, the growth without that endless drain, tears burn my eyes. College funds for future children. Retirement contributions that finally match my company's offer. A down payment fund that grows instead of shrinks. This is what financial health looks like, Clara says gently. The next morning, I take the money that once went to my parents, $1,400, and open my first investment account. The act feels symbolic, like planting a flag in soil that's finally mine. That same afternoon, I re-enroll in my graduate program. The admissions counselor greets me with a smile. Welcome back, Miss Porter. We've held your spot. 3 weeks pass. The barrage of calls from extended family fades. Sam sends occasional messages, cautious, polite, careful not to disturb the fragile truce between us. My parents oscillate between silence and renewed attempts at contact. With Natalie's help, I begin rehearsing what I'll say when I finally face them. Simple, direct, irrefutable. I love you, but your mortgage is not my responsibility. It happens on a Sunday evening while I'm reviewing case studies for my first graduate class. The knock is unmistakable. 3 firm, evenly spaced raps. My father's signature. I don't need to look through the peephole. I already know. When I open the door, both my parents are standing there. Mom's eyes are red and puffy. Dad's jaw is tight, his posture brimming with authority. This has gone on long enough, he announces, pushing past me into the apartment. You've made your point. Mom trails behind him, her hand reaching for mine. I take a step back. Your behavior is tearing this family apart, Dad says, pacing the small space. Do you have any idea what people are saying? Your Aunt Sylvia asked if you were having some sort of breakdown. Richard, Mom murmurs, her tone uneasy. No, Sylvia, she needs to hear this. He turns on me, eyes blazing. You've embarrassed us. You've created a crisis over a little financial help any daughter would have given without hesitation. $84,000, I say quietly, is not a little help. Mom's lip trembles. You're killing me with this betrayal, she whispers, after everything we've done for you. The script I'd practiced evaporates, and in its place rises something unfiltered and true. I love you both, I tell them, but your mortgage is not my responsibility. It never was. Dad's face reddens with fury. So that's it. You're abandoning us. I'm not abandoning you, I say, my voice calm but resolute. I'm stopping the abandonment of myself. The silence that follows is heavier than any argument. 7 minutes later, they leave. Mom in tears, Dad stiff with anger. When the door closes behind them, my body collapses. I sink to the floor, sobs shaking through me. Raw, guttural, cleansing. Beneath the grief runs something else. Faint but unmistakable. Lightness. It feels like heavy stones have been lifted from my pockets after years of carrying their weight. That night, I sleep for 8 uninterrupted hours, the first time in 4 years. When morning comes, sunlight floods my apartment, painting the city in soft gold. Denver stretches out before me, familiar, yet somehow transformed, a landscape of possibility instead of obligation. For the first time since that desperate phone call 4 years ago, when their burden became mine, I feel the contours of my own life taking shape. I am not half of anyone. I am whole. I wake beneath sunlight, filtering through curtains. I chose myself. 6 months ago, I would have started the day checking my bank app, calculating whether I could afford a coffee after the automatic transfer cleared. Today, I stretch, breathe deeply, and smile up at the ceiling, free, finally, to build a life that belongs entirely to me. My ceiling, my rules, my money. The promotion email had arrived yesterday afternoon. The subject line so ordinary it took me a full minute to process what it meant. Project team lead. The words still feel unreal, hovering in my mind like light through fog. Your dedication and analytical insight make you the ideal candidate, my boss had said, meeting my eyes for once. Everyone in the department recognizes your contribution. Leah. Recognition. The word settles in my chest like a warm, solid stone. I lace up my running shoes and head outside for my morning jog. Mrs. Winters, my elderly neighbor, is walking her corgi along the path. She waves brightly. Big day for your Italian cooking class, right? The final dinner, I call back with a grin. Lasagna from scratch. I'll bring leftovers. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have known her name. I wouldn't have joined a community center class, let alone splurged on fresh ricotta or basil. Life has stretched open in quiet, unexpected ways. My phone buzzes in my pocket, Natalie. The hiking group's meeting at Boulder Creek on Saturday, she says when I answer. You coming? Absolutely, I reply, smiling at the thought of the new hiking boots I bought last month. The mountains have become my sanctuary, vast, steady, unmoved by human mess. The previous weekend, I climbed a ridge, stood at the summit, and screamed into the wind until my throat went raw and the last remnants of guilt scattered with the echoes. When I returned home that day, there was an envelope in my mailbox, thick, official, and marked with the university seal. My pulse jumped as I tore it open. Dear Miss Porter, we are pleased to inform you of your acceptance. I pressed the letter to my chest, eyes stinging. The graduate program I deferred 4 years ago, the dream that had been buried under mortgage payments and obligation, had come back to life. Then my phone rang. Aunt Helen. Your father asked me to call, she began carefully. The doctor's worried about his blood pressure, the stress of possible foreclosure. The mortgage is paid through next month, I interrupted calmly. I had already checked their account online. I'm sorry he's unwell, but I can't help anymore. She sighed heavily. He said there might be some misunderstanding about family obligations. There's no misunderstanding, I said gently but firmly. I love you, Aunt Helen. Please tell Dad I wish him well. After we hung up, I opened Facebook. Mom's latest post was waiting for me at the top of my feed. Heartbroken when children abandon the parents who sacrificed everything for them. Family should be forever. 17 sympathetic comments. Cousins, family friends, people who knew nothing of the truth. I closed the app without a word. In my inbox, a new message from Sam. They're saying some worrying things about money. Are they really facing foreclosure? I'm confused. I typed back. They have options they're unwilling to take. I can explain everything if you want to hear my side. Before I could second-guess myself, I hit send and headed for the shower. Work awaited, and today I was leading the morning briefing. My briefing. The system I designed. When I walked into the meeting room, conversation stilled. 6 months ago, I would have assumed judgment. Today, I recognize respect. The implementation numbers are impressive, Daniel, our director, said. Leah's system has cut processing time by 32%. Applause broke out, not polite, obligatory clapping, but real acknowledgement. I stood taller, presenting with a confidence that felt new, but entirely earned. That afternoon, my desk phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Leah Porter, a bright voice said, This is Erica Hayes from Parker Executive Search. I'm reaching out about a director position in Seattle. I nearly dropped the receiver. I'm sorry, what? Your name was recommended by someone who was very impressed with your compliance design. The role is at Westlake Financial Technologies. Would you be open to discussing it? Seattle. I repeated softly. Yes. The position offers a 45% salary increase and equity options. When I hung up, I sat for a long time, staring at the sticky note where I'd written her number. Seattle. 3 states away from the gravitational pull of obligation. A role that would leapfrog 2 levels ahead of where I am now. That evening, I opened my laptop and joined a virtual apartment tour. The realtor showed me a 14th floor unit with glass walls overlooking the skyline. The Space Needle shimmered in the distance. What's the price range? I asked cautiously. She told me. 6 months ago, it would have been unthinkable. But now, with no monthly drain to my parents' mortgage, I opened my spreadsheet and ran the numbers. 2 years of this new salary would replace every dollar I'd sent to them over 4 long years. My phone rang again, Sam. I talked to Dad, she said quietly. He admitted everything. For years of you paying their mortgage while they told me you were struggling, that they were helping you. Her voice cracked. They took advantage of you, Leah. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. It's not your fault, I told her. Are you really thinking about Seattle? She asked. Mom and Dad heard through the grapevine. They're furious you didn't tell them first. I laughed softly. Seattle feels right. I'm ready for something bigger than myself. That weekend, I began packing my Denver apartment. Every item went through a quiet test. Does this belong to my future, or does it tie me to the past? The donation pile grew larger than the keep pile. A text arrived from the Seattle company. The contract is ready for signature. Benefits start day 1. Relocation included. I looked around at the half-filled boxes, the graduate acceptance letter on my fridge, the hiking boots by the door. For the first time in my adult life, every object in this room was a choice made for me by me. I signed. A month later, I stand in my Seattle condo, 14 floors above the city, watching dawn spill pink and amber over Mount Rainier. The skyline stretches outward, glass and promise in every direction. My phone buzzes. Another message from Mom about how they're managing without my support. I silence it, sipping coffee that costs more than I'd have dared spend back in Denver. Small luxuries no longer sting with guilt. A second buzz follows, not my parents this time. It's Olivia, my old neighbor. Thought you should see this. Sorry, there's an image attached. The photo loads slowly, pixel by pixel, like my phone is trying to protect me. And then I see it. A vinyl banner draped across my parents' Tudor-style house. Bold red letters scream across white fabric. Congratulations, Sam, for saving the family home. My coffee cup slips from my hand and crashes against the floor, hot liquid splattering across my bare feet. I barely feel the burn. My lungs seize, as though the air has been stripped from the room. For years, I whisper into the stillness. $84,000. The words fracture as I sink to the floor. Ceramic shards digging into my palms. The final, sharp proof of everything I already knew. Not from weakness this time, but from a fury so sharp it demands a physical tether to keep me grounded. They've erased me again, but this time they've rewritten the story itself. When my breathing steadies, I pull my laptop closer and open my banking app. For years of statements, for years of transfer confirmations, every, just this once text, every will pay you back soon. I open the email folder labeled family and drag out every desperate message. Dad's temporary business setback, Mom's insurance denial, the endless roof repairs, plumbing issues, overdue taxes. The printer hums page after page until a thick stack of proof rests beside me, their entire deception, documented line by line. As the ink dries, I forward each file to my personal email, then to a separate account I've created purely for this purpose. A digital archive of manipulation. My phone rings. Sam. Have you seen it? She asks, voice tight. The banner. Yes. Leah, I swear I didn't know. They told everyone at church that I'd been paying their mortgage since you abandoned them. I laugh, a sound without warmth, echoing off the condo's sleek walls. Of course they did. There's more, Sam says quietly. They're hosting a family appreciation dinner next weekend to honor my sacrifice. The formal invitation lands in my inbox that afternoon. Cream-colored digital stationery, gold script. Join us in celebrating Ava's selfless dedication to family values. A voicemail follows. Mom's voice, syrupy with rehearsed emotion. We hope you can set aside our differences to celebrate your sister. Family should support each other in times of recognition. Family should support each other in times of recognition. I trace the date on the invitation. Next Saturday. I could book a flight. I should book a flight. Instead, I call Natalie. They're crediting Sam with the mortgage payments, I tell her. My voice is too calm, even for me. They're throwing her a party for something I did for 4 years. There's silence on the other end before Natalie asks, What are you going to do? I'm going to Denver. To confront them? No, I say, opening my laptop and dragging the evidence folder into a new presentation. To tell the truth. Saturday evening. I stand on the familiar front porch, the same one where I once dropped off checks and casseroles. Inside, classical music drifts through the air. Dad's favorite playlist for important guests. I'm wearing a charcoal gray suit, sharp and deliberate, power armor. Under one arm is a folder filled with printed statements. In my laptop bag, a flash drive containing every digital receipt, formatted into slides. The door opens before I can knock. Sam stands there wide-eyed. You came, she whispers. Did you think I wouldn't? She steps aside, revealing a scene that could be pulled from a magazine. Floral arrangements, catered dishes, a projector screen bearing the title The Porter Family, a legacy of support. Mom spots me first. Her smile freezes mid-glass rays. Leah, what a surprise, she says, her voice pitched an octave too high. We weren't sure you'd make it with your busy new life. Dad turns, his grin faltering. Pumpkin, come in. We're just about to toast your sister's generosity. I walk past them, every step deliberate, and stop by the projector. May I add something to the presentation? Dad hesitates, then nods, confident, still believing he controls the room. Of course. Our younger daughter wants to honor her sister too. Wonderful. I connect my laptop to the cable. Their slideshow disappears. Mine appears. 48 months. $84,000. Leah, what is this? Mom demands, her tone slicing through the murmurs. The truth, I answer. The first slide displays a spreadsheet, columns of dates, partial account numbers, and notes that tell their own story. Emergency mortgage transfer, insurance payment, property taxes. I don't think this is appropriate dinner conversation. Mom snaps, stepping forward. Neither is lying to everyone you know, I reply, advancing to the next slide. Text messages fill the screen, enlarged for all to read. Mom, Leah, we're desperate. Just this once. The bank is threatening foreclosure. Mom, your father's business will recover soon, I promise. Mom, family comes first. We'd do the same for you. Gasps ripple across the room. Aunt Clara covers her mouth. Uncle Frank shifts in his seat. Dad hisses under his breath, face flushed. You're humiliating us. If the truth humiliates you, I say evenly, that's not my fault. The next slides display expense reports. Golf club dues, weekend retreats, lavish dinners. Side by side with my bank transfers. Each click of the mouse tightens the noose of accountability. Stop this immediately. Mom shouts, but I don't stop. Slide by slide, I reveal the years I spent financing their life while they paraded my sister as the family's success story. Sam stands motionless, realization dawning. Not just at what they did to me, but how they used her too, a prop in their illusion of perfection. When the final image appears, the banner stretched across their house, now with my caption superimposed. Paid for by Leah Porter, the room falls silent. $84,000, I say softly. My down payment. My MBA. My future. For a moment, no one moves. Then Aunt Rosa, Dad's eldest sister, stands. She's defended him all her life, but now she begins to clap. Slow, steady. It's about time someone told the truth in this family, she says, her voice cutting through the stunned quiet. Two cousins nod. Recognition flickers in their eyes. The pattern is familiar to them too. Mom tries once more. Family matters should stay private, Leah. This is inappropriate. Private, I repeat, meeting her eyes. Like the banner on your house? Sam steps forward, moving to stand beside me. She doesn't speak, she doesn't have to. Her presence says everything. For the first time in our lives, we stand shoulder to shoulder, the golden child and the forgotten one, facing our parents together. And in that moment, I feel it, the final break in the chain. 6 months later, Seattle's sunlight spills through the tall windows of my apartment as I stir honey into my tea. Across the table, Sam sits relaxed, her sleek lawyer composure replaced with something softer, freer. I still can't believe they showed up here with deed papers, she says, shaking her head. After everything. I smile, watching a ferry cross the shimmering bay. It's all right, I tell her quietly, because now the truth, my truth, no longer needs defending. It simply exists. Their version of an apology, I suppose. Sam nods slowly, her tone calm but sure. And you turned it down. It isn't a question, but a statement of understanding. I already own my own home, I tell her, gesturing toward the city skyline and the gleaming high-rise reflected in the cafe window. What I need isn't a name on a deed. It's respect. 6 months have passed since the truth cracked our family's polished veneer. 6 months of rebuilding, not what was, but what should have been. My phone buzzes with a new email notification from an industry newsletter. Porter Team wins Innovation Award for Compliance Solution. My team. My leadership. My name. Sam catches the grin, spreading across my face. Another win. I turn the screen toward her. Vice President sounds good before my name, doesn't it? Much better than secret mortgage payer. She laughs, squeezing my hand across the table. You're speaking at that finance conference next month, right? The Ethical Leadership Panel, I say, shaking my head in disbelief. Apparently standing up to financial exploitation makes me a case study in ethics now. Later that evening, I lace up my hiking boots as 3 friends wait at the door. No more excuses about gas money or tight budgets. Just 4 women heading to Mount Rainier because the wildflowers are blooming. Sophie asked about you again, Maya teases as she starts the car, her eyebrows dancing. The architect? I ask, trying to sound casual. The warmth creeps up my neck that has nothing to do with embarrassment, and everything to do with the possibility of something new. Dating without the weight of guilt feels like breathing different air. On Tuesday, I stand in front of 20 young women at the community center's financial literacy workshop. Boundaries aren't selfish, I tell them, my voice steady, shaped by hard-earned conviction. They're the foundation of authentic relationships. A girl in the back raises her hand. But what if it's family? Especially then, I answer, meeting her eyes. When Sam visits in August, we cook dinner together in my kitchen, tomato sauce bubbling on the stove, Frank Sinatra playing in the background. Mom would have hovered, correcting our measurements and critiquing our knife skills. Tonight, there's only laughter as Sam spills wine across the countertop. Remember when Mom used to measure out the pasta portions? Sam says with a grin, 2 ounces for you, 3 for Dad, 1 for me, because actresses need to stay slim. And now look at us. I laugh, gesturing at our overfilled plates. Rebels with carbs. We talk long into the night about patterns we never questioned, expectations we finally outgrown, and the small rebellions that make adulthood feel like liberation. I've been thinking about taking a real vacation, Sam says between bites. Not a networking event disguised as rest, just something joyful. Where would you go? I ask. We, she corrects with a small smile. Where would we go, sisters only? My throat tightens unexpectedly. Anywhere, I say softly. Everywhere. A year later, I open a new savings account, not for emergencies, not for anyone else's crisis, but to start a college fund for my niece. Not out of duty this time, but out of choice. At the community center, my workshop has doubled in size. Setting limits isn't rejection, I tell the group. It's self-respect. It's the only way to bring your whole, healthy self into any relationship. That night, in my journal, I write at the top of a fresh page, Year 1 of my authentic life. Below it, not resolutions or ambitions, just truths. That worth isn't measured by how much you give up. That love without respect is only dependence dressed as devotion. That starting over at 30 isn't failure, it's courage. Evening falls softly over Seattle. I step onto my balcony, watching the sun slip behind the Olympic Mountains. Gold, then violet, then a deepening blue. No phone vibrating with emergencies. No mental arithmetic over what's left in my account. Just this stillness. Just this peace. Just me, finally home in my own life.